Employee was handcuffed in the office, and the boss discovered her secret. Jennifer Thompson trembled as she felt the cold metal of the handcuffs against her wrists. The conference room of the company where she had worked for 12 years had never felt so small and suffocating. All the employees watched in absolute silence as the private security guard adjusted the chains around her hands. The executive director, Richard Stewart, observed from the doorway with an expression of deep disappointment etched on his face. He had just accused Jennifer of embezzling $45,000 from the company's funds over the past 18 months. The employee, known for her exemplary dedication and flawless punctuality, held her gaze steady despite the public humiliation. "Jennifer, you were like a daughter to me," Richard said, his voice heavy with sorrow. "I trusted you more than anyone else in this company." "Mr. Richard, I can explain it," she began, but he cut her off. "There's no explanation for what you did. The numbers are right here, clear as day. Transfers made from your computer during your work hours using your password." The young woman with curly hair took a deep breath. At 32, she had built her reputation brick by brick at this accounting firm in downtown Manhattan. She was the employee everyone relied on, the one who stayed late to finish urgent reports, the one who had never missed a single day of work. The company's lawyer, Dr. Michael Roberts, a 50-year-old man with gold-rimmed glasses, entered the room carrying a folder full of documents. "Miss Thompson, we have enough evidence to prosecute for embezzlement. I suggest you confess now to avoid further embarrassment." Jennifer looked around the room. She saw Mrs. Jenkins, the 63-year-old cleaning lady, who always greeted her with a warm smile every morning. She also saw Tyler, the 22-year-old mail clerk who dreamed of studying business administration. Both averted their eyes, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. "I didn't steal anything," Jennifer said firmly. "Every cent that left this company had a specific purpose." Richard shook his head in disbelief. "A specific purpose? For what? For your personal account?" "I can't say." The silence that followed was broken only by the hum of the air conditioning. Jennifer's refusal to explain only deepened everyone's certainty of her guilt. Dr. Michael opened the folder and spread the documents across the glass table. "Look here," he said, pointing at the papers. "March 15th, transfer of $2,500. May 22nd, $3,000. August 2nd, $4,000. All these transactions were made under your login, Jennifer. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. It was then that Mrs. Jenkins fainted. The elderly woman collapsed all at once, knocking over a chair and startling everyone in the room. Richard and two employees rushed to help her, while someone called medical services. When they opened Mrs. Jenkins's purse to look for identification or medication, they found a recent prescription. The listed medication was specifically for advanced diabetes treatment, costing over $1,000 a month. "My God," Richard whispered as he read the prescription. "Mrs. Jenkins is sick." At that moment, a young woman around 25 years old ran into the room. It was Ashley, Mrs. Jenkins's daughter. "Where's my mother?" "I got a call saying she fainted." "She's here. We've already called emergency services," Richard said. "Ashley, did you know your mother was taking this medication?" The young woman looked at the prescription and her eyes filled with tears. "She hides it from me so I won't worry. The medicine is extremely expensive, and she can't afford to buy it every month. Sometimes she goes without to save money." Richard felt a tightness in his chest. Mrs. Jenkins had worked at the company for 15 years, and he never knew she was struggling. "But Ashley," he said hesitantly, "your mother never came to me for help or an advance." "My mother is very proud, Mr. Richard. She'd rather go without than ask for charity, as she puts it." While they waited for the ambulance, other employees began sharing information that had been unknown to management until then. Tyler, the mail clerk, revealed he lived with his 80-year-old grandmother and that his salary barely covered her medications. Melissa, from reception, shared that she was raising 2 young children alone after her husband abandoned her. Richard looked at Jennifer, who remained handcuffed, but now tears were streaming down her cheeks. "What does this have to do with the embezzled money?" asked Dr. Michael impatiently. "It has everything to do with it," said a voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was Walter, the company's head accountant, a 58-year-old man who had worked there for over 2 decades. "Walter, what do you mean?" Richard asked. "Mr. Richard, there's something we need to discuss, something about the company's accounts that I discovered this morning." "Go on." "The transfers being attributed to Jennifer, they didn't come from the company's operational accounts." Dr. Michael raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "The statements clearly show..." "The statements show transfers, that's true. But when I dug deeper, I found something interesting. The money came from a specific account. One opened 2 years ago in the company's name, but funded with external resources." Richard took the papers from Walter's hands. "External how?" "Money that doesn't come from the company's revenue. Money being deposited by someone inside the organization itself." The mood in the room shifted completely. Jennifer remained silent, but something in her eyes had changed too. "Who's making these deposits?" Richard asked. Walter looked directly at Jennifer. "Mr. Richard, all deposits into this account were made via transfers from Jennifer Thompson's personal account." The silence was deafening. Richard looked at Jennifer as if seeing her for the first time. "What do you mean?" "Jennifer has been using her own money to fund an account that's then distributed to employees in need." "Is this true, Jennifer?" Richard asked, his voice much softer now. Jennifer took a deep breath before answering. I set up an informal assistance system. When I found out a co-worker was struggling, I'd transfer my own money into that account and distribute it as if it were a company benefit. But why didn't you come to me? Why not propose this officially?" Jennifer lowered her eyes. "Because I tried, Mr. Richard. 3 years ago, I brought a proposal to create an employee assistance fund. You said it wasn't the company's responsibility to handle employees' personal problems." Richard flushed. He vaguely remembered that conversation, but at the time, he'd been focused on cutting costs and increasing profitability. "But Jennifer, you're using your own salary for this." "I use my overtime pay, my Christmas bonus, my unused vacation time. I live on just the basics." Mrs. Jenkins, who had regained consciousness, whispered something that made everyone lean in. "What did she say?" Richard asked. Ashley was crying. "She said Jennifer was the one who paid for her medicine the last 6 months. She thought it was a company social program." Tyler, the mail clerk, also spoke up. "Mr. Richard, my grandmother was able to get her cataract surgery because someone paid for it anonymously. I thought it might have been you." "And my son got his school supplies," said Melissa from reception. "I assumed it was a new company policy." Richard was stunned. He looked at Jennifer with a mix of admiration and guilt. "How many people have you helped, Jennifer?" 12 families in the last 18 months. "And how much of your own money did you spend?" Jennifer hesitated. $45,000. It was exactly the amount being investigated as missing. Richard immediately asked security to remove the handcuffs from Jennifer. "Jennifer, forgive me. I made a terrible mistake." "There's no need to apologize, Mr. Richard. I understand how it looked suspicious." Dr. Michael put away the documents, visibly embarrassed. "Well, technically no crime was committed. I'll drop all charges, but the situation was far from resolved. Other employees began arriving at the office, alerted by iMessages about what was happening. The news that Jennifer had been handcuffed spread quickly. Kevin, the finance department supervisor, arrived breathless. "Mr. Richard, is it true Jennifer was arrested for theft?" "No, Kevin, there was a misunderstanding. It's all cleared up now." "But sir, the clients in reception saw everything. They took photos and videos. It's all over social media." Richard felt his stomach drop. Jennifer's reputation was being publicly destroyed because of his mistake. "Jennifer, we need to do something to clear your name." "Don't worry about me, Mr. Richard. What matters is the truth came out." "But I can't let this go. You were humiliated unfairly because of my haste." That's when Walter made a discovery that would change everything again. "Mr. Richard, there's more. While reviewing Jennifer's accounts, I found other irregularities." "What do you mean?" "There's another type of suspicious activity. Transfers unrelated to Jennifer's aid fund." Richard took the new documents Walter brought. "The amounts are much larger," Walter continued. $80,000 in the last 6 months, transferred to overseas accounts. That's impossible. Who would have access to make transfers that large? Someone at a managerial level or higher, someone who knows the system well. Tension filled the room again. If there was a real thief in the company, they were still out there, possibly taking advantage of Jennifer being the perfect scapegoat. Walter, can you trace where those transfers came from? I'm already working on it, but it'll take some time. Richard looked around the room. All the employees present seemed genuinely shocked by the revelation. Who else has access to the company's main accounts? Besides you, just me, Kevin, and Nathan Parker. Nathan Parker was the sales manager, a 40-year-old man hired 2 years ago. He was ambitious, charismatic, and had significantly boosted the company's sales. Where's Nathan today? He said he was visiting clients on the south side, Kevin replied. Richard picked up the phone and called Nathan. The phone rang several times before going to voicemail. Strange, he always answers. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now, continuing. Walter kept working on the computer, checking access logs and transaction history. Mr. Richard, all the suspicious transfers were made outside business hours, always between midnight and 2 in the morning. Does Nathan have after-hours access to the system? Yes. He requested remote access 6 months ago to work with clients in different time zones. The situation was getting complicated. Richard decided he needed to speak with Nathan in person. Kevin, do you know where Nathan said he'd be today? He mentioned something about visiting Mr. Raymond Wilson's company in the tri-state area. Richard knew Raymond Wilson. He was an important client, but not important enough to warrant a personal visit from Nathan. I'll call Raymond. The call was answered on the second ring. Raymond, it's Richard. How are you? Richard, what a coincidence you called. I was just thinking about reaching out to you. Why's that? Yesterday, I got a strange call from someone named Nathan from your company. He said you were switching banks and needed me to confirm some of our account details to update the payment system. Richard felt a chill down his spine. Raymond, we're not switching banks, and Nathan wasn't supposed to be there today. Here? No, he never came. The call was yesterday, over the phone. Richard hung up and looked at the employees present. Nathan lied about where he'd be today, and yesterday he called a client asking for banking information he didn't need. The situation was becoming clearer. Nathan was using Jennifer's transfers as a smokescreen for his own schemes. Walter, can you check if there have been any other suspicious calls to clients? Sure thing, I'll look through the company's call logs. While Walter worked, Richard approached Jennifer. Jennifer, forgive me again. Not only did I make a mistake accusing you, but I also let the real problem go unnoticed. Mr. Stewart, the important thing is uncovering the truth. Your generosity shames me. After all you've been through, you're still worried about the company. Mrs. Jenkins, who was already feeling better, asked to speak with Jennifer. My dear, I had no idea it was you helping me. How can I ever thank you? Mrs. Jenkins, there's no need to thank me. That's just what we do for each other. But you were using your own money. Money can be earned back. Health and dignity are more important, Walter signaled to Richard. Mr. Stewart, I found something concerning. What is it? Nathan called 16 clients last month, asking for banking details, all with the same excuse about switching banks. My God, he's trying to scam our own clients. The situation had escalated to a much more serious level. This wasn't just about embezzling company funds. It was a scheme that could destroy the organization's decades-long reputation. Richard tried calling Nathan again. This time the phone went straight to voicemail. Kevin, do you have Nathan's home address? Yes, but Mr. Stewart, maybe we should notify the authorities. You're right. I'll call our lawyer and see what the next steps are. While Richard spoke with Dr. Michael about the next steps, Jennifer gathered the employees present. Everyone, we need to come together now. The company is going through a crisis, and we're all part of the solution. Jennifer, said Tyler, after everything that's happened, you're still worried about the company. This company isn't just Mr. Stewart's, Tyler. It's ours too. It's where we've built our careers and supported our families. Melissa walked up to Jennifer. Jennifer, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for my family. Melissa, you'd do the same for me if it were necessary. But you never told us you were using your own money. If you knew, you wouldn't have accepted the help. And you needed it. Mrs. Jenkins, leaning on her daughter, also approached. Jennifer, you're an angel God placed in our lives. Mrs. Jenkins, we're family here, and in a family, no one struggles alone. Richard, who had overheard the conversation, was moved by Jennifer's words. He realized that while he had been focused solely on numbers and profits, he had lost sight of what truly mattered in a company, the people. Dr. Michael arrived with news about Nathan's case. Richard, I've managed to contact the proper authorities. They'll investigate the suspicious accounts and try to locate Nathan. What about the clients who were contacted? We'll need to notify everyone immediately. It's better they hear it from us than find out by chance. This will damage our reputation. It will, but hiding it would be worse. Transparency is the best policy in these cases. Richard agreed, but was worried about the company's future. Decades of work could be ruined because of Nathan's actions. That's when Jennifer made a suggestion. Mr. Richard, what if we use this crisis as an opportunity? How so? You could officially announce the creation of the Employee Assistance Fund I've always dreamed of. Show our clients that this company truly cares about people. But Jennifer, after everything you've been through, you still want to work here. Of course, this is my home. Richard was touched. Jennifer's loyalty, even after the humiliation she had endured, was something he'd never seen before. All right, let's do it. But I want you to oversee the program. Me? Yes, you know the employees' needs better than anyone. The other employees applauded the decision. It was a moment of hope amid the crisis, but the situation was far from resolved. Nathan was still at large with sensitive client information. Richard needed to act quickly to minimize the damage. Walter, I need you to prepare a full list of every client Nathan contacted. I'm already working on it, Mr. Richard. Kevin, I want you to draft a statement explaining the situation to all employees. Yes, sir. And Jennifer, I need your help figuring out how to officially implement the assistance program. It would be my pleasure, Mr. Richard. As everyone worked to address the crisis, Richard's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Richard, it's Nathan. Silence fell over the room. Richard put the phone on speaker. Nathan, where are you? We need to talk. I know you've uncovered everything. There's no point hiding it now. Then come back and let's resolve this like adults. I can't do that, Richard. I've gone too far. Nathan, the clients you contacted, did you get any information from them? I got some passwords, some account details, but I haven't used them yet. Don't, Nathan. That will only make things worse for you. I know. I'm calling because I want to turn myself in, but I have one condition. What is it? I want to speak to Jennifer. Everyone looked at Jennifer, who nodded. Nathan, it's Jennifer. Jennifer, forgive me. I found out what you were doing months ago, and I used it to hide my own crimes. Why did you do it, Nathan? Greed, envy. You were everything I wanted to be in this company. Respected, loved, admired. The only recognition I ever got was through sales. Nathan, it's never too late to do the right thing. I know, that's why I'm calling. I'm turning myself in, but first I want to return everything I stole. How? I have the money saved. It's $83,000. I'll transfer it all back to the company account right now. Richard was stunned. Nathan had embezzled more money than they'd realized. Nathan, where are you? I'm at the airport. I was trying to flee the country, but I couldn't board. Every time I looked at the ticket, I thought about the people I'd hurt. Come back, Nathan. Let's handle this together. All right. But I want you all to know that Jennifer is the most upright person I've ever met. I destroyed my career trying to harm someone who only wanted to help others. The call ended. Everyone in the room fell silent, processing what had just happened. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now back to the story. An hour later, Nathan arrived at the office accompanied by a lawyer. He looked visibly shaken and remorseful. Richard, Jennifer, everyone, please forgive me for everything. Richard was torn between anger and compassion. Nathan, why did you do this? because I was desperate to impress you all. My sales were good, but I couldn't get the recognition Jennifer had. When I found out what she was doing, I thought I could use it against her. But you realized you were wrong. I realized I was destroying someone who only wanted to help others, and that I was ruining a company that had given me opportunities. Jennifer stepped closer to Nathan. Nathan, you made the right choice by coming back. Jennifer, how can you forgive me after everything? Because I believe people can change, and because you chose to do the right thing in the end. Dr. Michael explained the next legal steps. Nathan would face charges, but the fact that he had turned himself in and returned the money could lessen his consequences. Nathan, Richard said, you'll have to answer legally for your actions. But personally, I admire your courage for coming back. Thank you, Richard. I know I don't deserve it, but I hope one day you can all fully forgive me. With Nathan detained and the money returned, the company began to recover. Richard called a meeting with all employees to officially explain what had happened. Everyone, you deserve to know the full truth about today's events. Richard explained how Jennifer had been falsely accused, how they discovered her secret assistance program for employees, and how Nathan was the one truly responsible for the embezzlement. Starting today, we're formalizing the employee assistance program Jennifer created. Every emergency situation will be evaluated, and the company will provide the necessary support. The employees applauded emotionally. Many had tears in their eyes. Additionally, Richard continued, I want to publicly apologize to Jennifer for the humiliation she endured today. My haste nearly destroyed the reputation of an exemplary person. Mr. Richard, Jennifer said, there's no need to apologize. What matters is that we've learned from this. Yes, we've learned. We've learned that a company isn't just about profits and numbers. It's about people, and people who care for one another. Mrs. Jenkins asked to speak. Mr. Richard, on behalf of all the employees, I want to thank you for this change, and I especially want to thank Jennifer, who showed us the true meaning of solidarity. The meeting ended with applause and hugs. It was a new beginning for the company. In the weeks that followed, the story reached the local press. But contrary to Richard's fears, the response was positive. The company was praised for its transparency and employee assistance program. New talent began seeking out the company, drawn by its reputation as a place that values people. Sales increased because clients wanted to do business with a company that had strong values. Jennifer was promoted to Human Resources Manager, a position created especially for her. Her first project was expanding the assistance program to include not just medical emergencies, but also education for employees' children and training courses. Nathan served an alternative sentence, performing community service. He specifically asked to work on financial education programs for low-income individuals. Richard allowed him to visit the company a few times to personally apologize to each employee he had wronged. 6 months later, the company received an award for corporate social responsibility. Richard insisted that Jennifer Thompson accompany him to accept the award. During his acceptance speech, Richard shared the entire story. This award isn't mine, it belongs to Jennifer Thompson, an employee who taught me that leadership isn't just about giving orders, but about caring for people, that a truly successful company is one where no one struggles alone. Jennifer also gave a speech. This award belongs to every employee in our company, because each of us has learned that when we come together to help one another, we all grow stronger. And most importantly, we've learned that a mistake can become the greatest blessing of our lives. The audience rose to their feet in applause. It was confirmation that the company had become an example of how to turn a crisis into growth. A year later, Richard decided to open branches in other cities, always implementing the employee assistance program from the start. Jennifer traveled to these branches to train new managers on the importance of knowing and caring for their teams. During one of these trips, she ran into Nathan Parker at a financial education event. He was giving a talk to young entrepreneurs about the dangers of greed and the importance of ethics in business. "Jennifer," he said, clearly emotional upon seeing her. "Hi, Nathan. How are you?" "Much better. You know, that day at the office was the worst and the best of my life." "How so?" "It was the worst because I lost everything I'd built. but it was the best because I learned who I truly wanted to be. And who do you want to be? Someone like you. Someone who uses their skills to help others grow. Jennifer smiled. Nathan, you already are that person. The past doesn't define who we are today. Thank you for never giving up on me, even when I didn't deserve it. That's what we do for each other, Nathan. That's what makes us a family. 2 years later, Richard decided to retire and named Jennifer as his successor to lead the company. On the day of the inauguration ceremony, all employees were present, including those from the branches who came specifically for the event. Mrs. Jenkins, now fully recovered thanks to the premium health plan the company had begun offering, insisted on giving a speech. Jennifer, when you were handcuffed that terrible day, I thought I was witnessing the end of something beautiful, but in truth, I was witnessing the beginning of the most compassionate company I've ever known. Tyler, now studying business administration with a company scholarship, also spoke. Jennifer, you taught me that true success isn't measured by what we achieve for ourselves, but by what we manage to do for others. Melissa, promoted to customer service supervisor, had tears in her eyes. Jennifer, my children grew up knowing there are good people in the world because of you. They want to be like you when they grow up. When it was Jennifer's turn to speak, she was visibly moved. My friends, when I was handcuffed that March morning, I thought my life was over, that all my dedication had been in vain, but I discovered that sometimes we need to go through humiliation to find our true strength. I learned that a company isn't just a place where we go to work, it's a place where we build our second family, and in a family no one gets left behind. The assistance program that began as my personal initiative has now helped over 200 families, but more importantly, it changed our culture. It changed how we see one another. Richard, she said, looking at her former boss, thank you for giving me the chance to prove my innocence, but most of all, thank you for learning from me as much as I learned from you. Richard was crying. Jennifer, you changed my life. You taught me that being a boss and being a leader are two completely different things. And Nathan, Jennifer said, turning to the man standing at the back of the auditorium, thank you for having the courage to come back and do the right thing. Your journey of redemption inspired so many of us. Nathan nodded, visibly moved. He had found a job at a non-profit and now dedicated his life to helping people escape debt and financial despair. The event ended with a garden party at the company. Employees of all ages celebrated together, their families joining them. Children ran between the tables while the adults shared stories and laughter. Jennifer watched from a corner, still taking in her new position. Mrs. Jenkins approached her. Sweetheart, are you happy? I am, Mrs. Jenkins, but I'm also scared. It's a big responsibility. You'll do just fine. You know why? Why? Because you haven't changed. Even with all this success, you're still the same Jennifer who worried about me when I couldn't afford my medicine. Do you think I've really made a difference? My dear, you saved lives, you saved families, you saved this company, and most importantly, you saved all our souls. Jennifer hugged the woman who had become like a mother to her. Mrs. Jenkins, can I confess something? Of course, dear. That day I was handcuffed. For the first time, I thought about giving up. I thought it wasn't worth trying to help people anymore. What changed your mind? Seeing that even in my worst moments you all still believed in me, that gave me the strength to keep fighting. That's what family is, Jennifer. We don't give up on each other. 3 years had passed since that dramatic day in the office. The company had grown exponentially, but kept its culture of caring for people. Jennifer had implemented mentorship programs, childcare for employees' children, language courses, and even a microloan program for employees who wanted to start their own businesses. The story of the employee who was handcuffed and later became CEO became a case study in business schools. Jennifer was often invited to speak about leadership and social responsibility. At one of these talks, a young student asked a question that stayed with her. Professor Jennifer, weren't you angry at the boss who humiliated you? Jennifer thought before answering. Anger is natural when we're wronged, but holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Richard acted rashly, but when he learned the truth, he didn't just apologize, he changed. And that change helped hundreds of people. But what if he hadn't changed? Then I'd have had to decide whether to be part of the problem or part of the solution. I chose to be part of the solution. After the talk, Jennifer returned home. She had bought a simple but cozy house in the same neighborhood she'd always lived in. She didn't want her life to change drastically with success. Her mother, Mrs. Rose, now 70, was in the kitchen making dinner. "So, dear, how was the talk?" "It went well, Mum. The students asked really smart questions." "Did you tell them about that terrible day?" "I always do, Mum. It's important they know the worst moments of our lives can turn into the best." "I still remember how you came home that day, crying, humiliated, thinking your career was over. And you told me to have faith that God had a plan. And He did. Look how far you've come. But you know what makes me proudest, Mum?" "What?" "It's not the position I hold or the money I make. It's knowing I've helped people live with more dignity." Mrs. Rose hugged her daughter. "You've always been special, Jennifer. Even as a little girl, you'd share your lunch with kids who didn't have any. You taught me that, Mum. You taught me that our happiness grows when we share it." That night, Jennifer got a call from Richard. "Jennifer, sorry for calling so late, but I wanted to share some news with you." "Of course, Richard. What is it?" "I just found out our company was chosen as the best place to work in the country." "Really? That's wonderful. And you know what else?" In the survey, 98% of employees said they feel like part of a family, not just workers. That's incredible, Richard. "Jennifer, none of this would have happened if you hadn't taught me what really matters in a company." "Richard, you learned because you were willing to change. Not every boss would have that humility." "Well, I wanted you to be the first to know. The results will be officially announced tomorrow. Thank you for telling me. Let's celebrate with the whole team." The next day, the office was taken over by a spontaneous celebration. Employees from every department cheered the recognition. Journalists came to interview Jennifer about the secret to the company's success. "The secret," she told the cameras, "is understanding that a company is made of people, and people have dreams, fears, and needs. When you take care of people, they take care of the company." "But how do you maintain that as you grow?" "It's a constant challenge. But every time we hire someone new, we tell them the story of how this company was reborn from a mistake. It helps everyone understand our culture." Do you have any advice for other business owners? Have the humility to admit your mistakes. Have the courage to change, and most importantly, never forget that behind every employee is a family depending on that job. The interview aired that night and made a huge impact. Business owners from across the country called, wanting to learn about the company's management model. A week later, Jennifer got an unexpected visit. It was Nathan, accompanied by a young woman. "Jennifer, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Megan." "Hi, Megan. It's so nice to meet you." "Dad talks about you a lot," the 15-year-old said. "He says you changed his life." "Your daughter didn't know what happened. She knew part of the story. But now she's doing a school project on leadership examples and chose you as her topic." "Really? What an honor." "Can I ask you some questions?" Megan asked. "Of course." "Were you angry at my dad?" Jennifer looked at Nathan before answering. "Megan, your father made serious mistakes, but when he realized he was wrong, he had the courage to come back and do the right thing. That shows his character. But he tried to hurt you." "Yes, he did. But you know what I've learned? Hurt people sometimes hurt others. Your dad was suffering inside and made bad choices. What matters is that he changed." Nathan was emotional listening to the conversation. "Dad says you forgave him." "Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, Megan. It means choosing not to let bitterness control our lives." "Do you believe people can change?" "I do. Your dad is living proof. Now he helps so many people avoid the mistakes he made." Megan finished the interview, and Nathan took a moment to speak with Jennifer privately. "Jennifer, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for me." "Nathan, you redeemed yourself. I just chose not to give up on you." "You know my daughter wants to study business administration because of you." "Really? She says she wants to be a leader like you, someone who cares for people." What a responsibility. I'll have to set a good example. You already do, Jennifer, every single day. 5 years after that fateful day, Jennifer received a special invitation. The local government wanted to honor her with a Business Merit Medal for her services to the community. The ceremony would be held at the city's convention center, attended by officials and business leaders from across the tri-state area. On the day of the ceremony, Jennifer was surprised to see all her company's employees present. Richard had chartered buses to bring the entire team to the event. "You didn't have to come," she said, moved. "Of course we did," Mrs. Jenkins replied. "You represent us. When you're honored, we all are." The mayor gave a speech about the importance of business leaders committed to social development, but it was Jennifer's speech that truly moved the audience. "Officials, friends, colleagues, this medal I receive today isn't mine. It belongs to every employee who believed in me when I needed it most. 5 years ago, I went through the most humiliating experience of my life. I was falsely accused of theft and handcuffed in front of everyone. At that moment, I thought my life was over. But I learned that sometimes we have to hit rock bottom to find our true strength. And most importantly, I discovered we're never alone on this journey. This medal represents every dollar I spent helping co-workers in need, every tear I shed when I was misunderstood, every hug I received when the truth came out. But above all, it represents the transformation that happens when we choose love over hate, forgiveness over revenge, unity over division. I dedicate this honor to Richard Stewart, who had the humility to admit his mistake and the wisdom to learn from it, to Nathan Parker, who had the courage to return and do what was right, and to every employee in our company who taught me that a family is built day by day with care and dedication. The audience rose to their feet in applause. Many were in tears, moved by Jennifer's sincerity. After the ceremony, there was a cocktail reception. Business leaders approached Jennifer, eager to learn more about her management model. "Miss Jennifer," said a man in his 60s, "I own a factory with 500 employees. How can I implement something similar in my company?" "Mr. Charles," she replied, reading his name tag, "the first step is truly knowing your employees. Not just their names and roles, but their stories, their families, their dreams. But with 500 employees, that's difficult. It's hard, but not impossible. Start with each department's leaders. Train them to be true team caretakers. And most importantly, create channels where people can ask for help without feeling humiliated." A young entrepreneur also approached. "Jennifer, I run a startup with 20 employees. How do I prevent problems like what you went through from happening in my company?" "Amanda," Jennifer said, "transparency and communication are key. Build a culture where people feel safe reporting issues, and most of all, lead by example. If you genuinely care for your team, it reflects across the entire organization." The conversation continued late into the evening. Jennifer realized her story had become a source of inspiration for many business leaders who wanted to make a difference. 6 months later, Jennifer decided to write a book about her experience. The title would be The Handcuffed Employee: How a Mistake Became a Revolution. She wrote it on weekends with the help of Mrs. Rose, who organized her daughter's memories chronologically. "Mom, I don't think anyone will want to read about my life. Sweetheart, your story isn't just yours. It's for all the people who were ever wronged and found the strength to carry on. Do you think I should include the part about Nathan?" "Of course. His story is essential. It shows everyone deserves a second chance." The book was published a year later and became a bestseller. Jennifer donated all the profits to a fund that helped employees from other companies in emergency situations. Nathan attended the book launch accompanied by his daughter. "Jennifer, thank you for telling my story with such care." "Nathan, your journey of redemption is inspiring. Many people will relate to it." "I hope so. I hope my mistake can help others avoid making the same ones." Megan, now 18 and about to start college for business administration, also spoke. "Jennifer, I want you to know you're my inspiration. I want to be like you when I graduate. Megan, be better than me. Each generation should surpass the last. How can I be better? Keep learning, keep caring about people, and above all, never forget that true success is measured by the good we do for others." During the signing event, Jennifer reunited with many people who had been important in her journey. Mrs. Jenkins, now retired, was radiant. "Sweetheart, seeing you here, launching a book, fills me with pride." "Mrs. Jenkins, you're in the book too. That morning you fainted was key to uncovering the truth. The Lord works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? It's true. If not for that terrible day, maybe our company would never have become what it is today." Tyler, now a business administration graduate working as a manager at the company, was also there. "Jennifer, I want to thank you for believing in me from the start. Tyler, you had potential. You just needed an opportunity. The education program you created changed my life and so many others. That was the goal, to give everyone a chance to grow." Melissa also came with her children, now teenagers. "Jennifer, my boys want to talk to you." The two young men approached shyly. "Thank you for helping our mom when we needed it," said the older one. "And thank you for showing us there are good people in the world," added the younger. Jennifer was moved hearing those words from young men who had grown up knowing someone cared about their family. The event ended late, but Jennifer stayed until the end, talking to everyone who wanted a word with her. On the way home, Richard, who had helped organize the event, made a remark that stayed with her. "Jennifer, do you realize the impact your story has had?" "How so?" "Today I got calls from business owners in 5 states wanting to implement programs like ours. Your book is inspiring a real revolution in how companies treat their employees. What a responsibility. But it's one you carry lightly, because it comes from the heart." 7 years had passed since that fateful morning. Jennifer was now 39 and had become one of the most respected businesswomen in the country. But she still lived in the same modest house, drove the same used car, and ate in the company cafeteria with her employees. The business had expanded to 10 branches, all following the same people-first management model. The Employee Assistance Program had helped over 1,000 families over the years. One Friday afternoon, Jennifer was in her office when she received an unexpected visit. A young woman around 25, accompanied by a 5-year-old child. "Are you Jennifer Thompson?" "Yes, I am. How can I help you?" "My name is Caroline Miller. This is my daughter, Emily. I'd like to work at your company." "That's great. You can reach out to our Human Resources department." "Actually, I wanted to speak with you personally first." "Of course, have a seat. What's this about?" Caroline Miller took a deep breath before speaking. 3 years ago, I worked at a company where a corruption scheme was uncovered. I had nothing to do with it, but I ended up being fired along with other employees under suspicion." Jennifer Thompson listened closely, recognizing the similarity to her own story. "Since then, I haven't been able to find another job. No one wants to hire someone who was let go under suspicion of corruption." "I understand. And what does this have to do with me?" "I read your book. I saw that you went through something similar and managed to recover. I want a chance to start over." Jennifer looked at the little girl, who was quietly playing with a doll. "Caroline, do you have any specific qualifications?" "I have a degree in accounting. I worked as a financial analyst." "And your daughter?" "I take care of her alone. Her father left us when he found out about the issue at my job." Jennifer felt a pang in her heart. She recognized the pain and desperation in the woman's eyes. "Caroline, I'll be honest with you. We have a strict background check policy, but we also have a policy of giving second chances to people who deserve them." "Do I deserve a second chance?" "That's for you to prove, but I'm willing to give you this opportunity." Jennifer called the Human Resources department and explained the situation. Caroline Miller was hired temporarily, with a 6-month probation period. At the end of the first month, Caroline approached Jennifer again. "Jennifer, I came to thank you for the opportunity. How are you adjusting?" "Very well. But mostly, I want to thank you for how everyone has welcomed me. No one has judged me for my past. Caroline, here we all know what it's like to be judged unfairly. That's why we've created an environment where people can start over. You know what impresses me the most? What? Seeing how you treat your employees. You genuinely care about each one. Caroline, a company is like a family, And in a family, no one gets left behind. 3 months later, Caroline had become one of the most dedicated employees in the company. Her story spread among her colleagues, who embraced her like a sister. At the end of the probation period, Jennifer called her in for a talk. "Caroline, how would you evaluate these 6 months? They've been the best months of my professional life. For the first time in years, I wake up happy to go to work." "And your daughter, how is she?" "Emily loves the company daycare. She talks every day about her teachers and little friends." "Caroline, I want to offer you a permanent position, but with one condition." "What is it?" "I want you to help me identify other professionals going through what you went through. Talented people who've been wronged and need a second chance." "It would be an honor, Jennifer." And so the Second Chance program was born, an initiative by the company to hire professionals who had been harmed by injustices in their previous jobs. Caroline became the program's coordinator. In 2 years, the program had helped 50 families. Every person hired brought a story of resilience, and each became an example of dedication and gratitude. The initiative caught the attention of the national media. Jennifer was invited to appear on a television program to talk about the project. "Jennifer," the host asked, "why does your company invest in people with troubled pasts?" "Because I understand the difference between having a troubled past and being a troubled person. Often, talented professionals are harmed by circumstances beyond their control. But doesn't that pose a risk to the company?" "Of course, we conduct thorough evaluations, but we've found that people who get a second chance tend to be more dedicated and loyal than average." "What's the secret to this program's success?" "We don't treat these people as charity cases. We treat them as capable professionals who need an opportunity. And most importantly, we create an environment where they feel truly accepted." After the program, Jennifer received hundreds of calls from people wanting to join the Second Chance program and from business owners looking to implement similar initiatives. Richard, who had watched the program, called to congratulate her. "Jennifer, once again, you're revolutionizing the corporate world." "Richard, you're the one who taught me change is possible. If you hadn't had the humility to admit your mistake with me, none of this would exist. Sometimes I think that terrible day was the best thing that ever happened to our company. It really was. It forced us to look inward and discover who we truly want to be." "Are you expanding the program to other branches?" "I'm already working on it. Caroline is training coordinators for each location." 10 years had passed since the day Jennifer was handcuffed. The company had become one of the largest in the industry, but kept its human-centered essence. The Employee Assistance Program had evolved into a foundation that also helped people from other companies. One Tuesday morning, Jennifer was walking through the company halls when she saw a scene that moved her deeply. In the same meeting room where she had been handcuffed 10 years earlier, a group of employees was celebrating Mrs. Jenkins' birthday. Even in retirement, she still visited the company regularly. The woman, now 73, was radiant, surrounded by colleagues of all ages. 3 generations of employees were there, the veterans who had lived through the company's transformation, those who joined during its growth, and the young hires who now found an established culture. "Mrs. Jenkins," said Tyler, now a regional manager, "you're our matriarch." "Nonsense, boy. I've just mopped floors for 40 years. "You do much more than that," replied Melissa, now the director of customer service. "You wipe away the tears of those who are sad. You ease the worries of those who are struggling." Jennifer watched from the doorway, touched by the scene. Nathan, who now visited the company monthly to give ethics lectures, approached her. "Beautiful sight, isn't it? Very beautiful, Nathan. This is what I always dreamed this company would be." "Jennifer, can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "Do you regret anything that happened over these 10 years? Jennifer thought for a moment. "You know, Nathan, I regret not having the courage to fight for the assistance program from the start. If I'd pushed harder, maybe I wouldn't have had to go through that humiliation." "But if you hadn't gone through that, would it have had the same impact?" "What do you mean?" "Your story inspired thousands precisely because you hit rock bottom and managed to rise again. If it had been easy, it wouldn't have been so powerful." "You're right. Sometimes suffering is necessary for our growth. And most importantly, for our ability to help others who are suffering." Just then, Caroline approached them. "Jennifer, I need to show you something. What is it, Caroline? We received a very special letter today. She handed Jennifer a handwritten letter. It was from an 18-year-old girl named Bethany. Dear Jennifer Thompson, my name is Bethany and I'm the daughter of Charles Williams, who worked at your company through the Second Chance program 5 years ago. Sadly, my father passed away last year, but before he left, he made me promise to write this letter. My dad always told me how you changed our family's life. When he was unfairly fired from his previous job, we lost everything, our home, our car, our dignity. He was unemployed for 2 years and was considering giving up on everything. When he was hired by your company, he was reborn. Not just because of the job, but because of how he was treated. For the first time in years, he started smiling again. He started believing in himself again. With his salary, I was able to finish high school, and now I'm about to start college for education. I want to be a teacher and teach children about values like the ones you show every day. My dad used to say you were an angel disguised as a businesswoman, that he had found a family when he needed it most, and that family took care of him until the end. When he got sick, the company didn't abandon him. They kept paying his salary even when he couldn't work anymore. And at the funeral, over 50 employees were there. I've never seen a company treat someone like real family. I want you to know that because of your kindness, I was able to study, and now I'll fulfill my dream of becoming a teacher. And when I am a teacher, I'll teach my students about people like you, who make a difference in the world. Thank you for saving my family. With love and admiration, Bethany Williams. Jennifer finished reading the letter with tears in her eyes. Nathan and Caroline were also moved. Caroline, did you know Charles? I did. He was a wonderful person. He worked in the logistics department, always with a smile on his face, always willing to help. And we had no idea he had a daughter about to start college. He talked about her all the time, said she was his biggest inspiration to keep fighting. Nathan made a comment that summed up everyone's feelings. Jennifer, do you realize your story isn't just yours? It's multiplied into hundreds of other stories. Every person you've helped has gone on to help others. It's true. It's like ripples spreading across a pond. At that moment, Richard appeared in the hallway. What are you all standing around for? Let's join Mrs. Jenkins's party. We're coming, Richard, said Jennifer, carefully tucking the letter away. The party lasted until late afternoon. Employees from all branches sent congratulatory videos to Mrs. Jenkins. Children from the company daycare made drawings for her. It was a celebration that showed how the company had truly become a family. At the end of the day, when everyone had left, Jennifer stayed alone in the conference room where it had all begun. She looked at the exact spot where she had been handcuffed 10 years earlier. Richard walked in. Still here, Jennifer? Just reflecting on everything that's happened. And what's your conclusion? That sometimes we need to be broken to discover our true strength. Do you regret anything? Nothing, Richard. Every tear, every humiliation, every moment of pain was necessary to get us where we are. And if you could go back in time, would you do anything differently? Jennifer thought for a long moment. No, I'd do everything exactly the same, because it wouldn't just change my story. It would change the story of everyone touched by this experience. Richard smiled. You know what impresses me most about you, Jennifer? What? Your ability to turn pain into love, humiliation into strength, failure into victory. I learned that from my mother. She always said God allows pain to prepare us to help others going through the same thing. Your mother is wise. She is. And she's proud of how our company has transformed. Richard looked out the window. The sun was setting over the city, painting the sky in golden hues. Jennifer, there's something I've wanted to ask you for a long time. What is it? That day, when you were handcuffed, what went through your mind? Jennifer took a moment before answering. So many things. First, anger, then sadness, then fear for the future. And when did it change? When I saw Mrs. Jenkins faint and realized she had been suffering in silence. At that moment, I realized my pain was nothing compared to what others were going through. Is that what gave you the strength to keep going? It's what gave me purpose to keep going. I saw that my experience could be used to help others. Richard was moved by her answer. Jennifer, you taught me the difference between being a boss and being a leader. Thank you for that. Richard, you taught me that people can change. And most of all, that mistakes can turn into lessons. The two fell silent for a few minutes, watching the sunset. Richard, can I confess something? Of course. Sometimes I still dream about that day. I still wake up in the middle of the night, remembering the sound of the handcuffs. Does it bother you? Not anymore. Now when I have that dream, I smile, because I know it was the start of something beautiful. How so? If I hadn't gone through that humiliation, maybe I'd never have discovered my true purpose in life. What's your purpose, Jennifer? To care for people, to create opportunities, to turn tears into smiles. Richard nodded, deeply touched by Jennifer's wisdom. And what's your next dream? To expand our foundation, I want it to reach people across the country. I want no family to struggle for lack of opportunity. Let's make that dream happen together. Together, Richard. Always together. When they left the office that night, Jennifer looked back one last time. At the building's entrance was a small plaque she'd had installed years earlier. Here, everyone is family. It was a simple message, but it captured everything the company had become. A place where no one was left behind. A place where second chances were given with love. A place where humility was valued more than pride. The end. Now tell me what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave your honest thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Jennifer made the right decisions? We'd love to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like the video and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.